You have something that I want to see. I was told that it's a big secret for you guys. All right, so what is this?
This is our media planning template or our budget tracker. We can predict like how aggressive we can be with our spend when a brand has a new drop.
The reason I wanted to talk to you is I've just been watching you from afar, just constantly blow projections out of the water. Like every time I feel like I go into Slack, it's like month to date, we've already surpassed it. So I want to hop on, just kind of hear, what are you doing? And what are some of the things that you're doing to always beat projections right now?
I think the biggest thing is honestly just knowing your numbers and planning ahead. Like planning ahead, not being 1 month ahead, but like at least a quarter ahead if you can. A year is ideal.
Oh my gosh.
So the brands that we do like the best work for, we know what their numbers are a year out. We know exactly what their 12-month target is. We break it down by month and then we break it down by day.
So like, let's kind of unpack that part, planning ahead. So what does planning ahead actually do to help you hit those targets or really just beat them every month like you?
Yeah, I think it gives you a level of visibility that you wouldn't otherwise have. So I feel like if you're just maybe operating like in the media buying space, you're not looking at the numbers, like the true business numbers on a business, like on that level every single
Is that
day.
like contribution profit?
Exactly.
Like
Yeah. And like even just how we're doing for new customer revenue every single day so that we know exactly where we're at with our AMER and we can kind of predict based off of the last 7 days AMER how aggressive we can be in the ad account during certain periods when we have drops coming up. So a lot of fashion brands, they'll have consistent drops, but because we have so much data historically and then also into the future, we can predict like how aggressive we can be with our spend when a brand has a new drop.
And
Right?
do you predict that before the drop happens? Are there signals that you see once the drop happens that you can be more aggressive?
Bit of both. Like we know historically roughly what our numbers look like when we have a new drop, and especially if they're dropping something maybe along their bestsellers. So it's kind of going to be like drop dependent. What are they dropping? Do we consider this to be like a drop that we predict is going to do well? And then if it is, what we'll do is we'll look at our weeks ahead of that, and we can look historically at what was our AMER, MER spend revenue based off of maybe a couple weeks before and decide how aggressive we want to be leading into that campaign so that we can then increase more efficiently during that campaign and really capitalize versus trying to do it mid-launch where you've already lost half of those new customers, right?
All that momentum
that you could have had.
So like, are you noticing, because sounds like a lot of your success right now, what I'm hearing is you guys are so organized that you know when drops are happening. That helps. Then you also know, because the data you guys are looking at, you know which drops are potentially going to be better waves for you guys to ride. Is that correct?
Yes.
Now, one question I'm sure a lot of fashion brands probably have is like these drops, like how much of them are activating new customers and how much of them are really just like getting repeat customers to activate again?
I think you'd be surprised at how many new customers are interested in something bright, new, and shiny. Even like it may
Like snow bikes?
seem, yeah, like snow bikes, literally every year. It's like you think the thing can't be that different, but yeah, new customers are still attracted to drops, and our new customer acquisition month over month with the drop strategy is also exceeding target. So that tells you something about new customers and your drop strategies.
Okay, so you're saying, so are some drops better than others at getting new customers in your experience?
Yes,
Okay.
definitely. So if we know we are dropping a new color in our bestseller, we know we're going to attract a bunch of new customers for that.
So
If it's maybe like a couple of accessories or complementary items, like that may not be a big successful drop, and we're probably not going to have an aggressive lead up with spend or an aggressive spend period during that time. We just know we're going to see a boost that we can leverage throughout the rest of the month.
I see. So like, how is the strategy different? Like, let's say it's a bestseller, a new color, which is one of my favorite things to do. Let's say it's one of those. What do you, everyone needs new customers. Like, what are you doing differently, you feel like, than we see brands all the time. Like, what do you feel like you're doing differently to maximize those drops to attract more new customers? Because I'm looking at the back end of the cohorts of this brand that you're working with, and like it's just like thousands upon thousands of new customers. Like, what do you feel like is working really well for you in that area?
Yeah, I think it's how we approach each drop a little bit. So depending on the drop, like if it is a best-selling drop, there's other activations we're kind of initiating throughout, like whether it's going to be partnering with top influencers in that space, like reaching new audiences that way. And then our creative strategy on top of that, a lot of storytelling behind the brand, behind the launch, behind the bestseller, which attracts new customers who maybe um, haven't bought yet, right?
Oh, unpack that. So you're saying you're running ads that I guess you're talking about the drop in the making of the drop. Is that what I heard?
Yeah. Yeah.
All
So
right.
sometimes
Are they like creator led? Are they founder led?
a bit of both. We've been working. This is something we've been working on with like this particular brand kind of since they came on with us. So it's been like a year in the making where we've been rolling out different types of creatives to attract like your top of funnel, right? New customer acquisition, not just bottom of funnel studio focused creatives, right? So we'll do whenever there's a new drop that's a little bit larger, we'll have like a behind the scenes of bringing that drop to life. We'll have the founder talking about the process, the fabric. Like one of our recent drops, there was storytelling around how actually they had to delay the drop because their first batch was like all in the wrong material, going into the cost and the pain, and really getting people bought into the brand on a different level.
So which ads, you just mentioned several ads, which ads are performing best?
Yeah, I really think, ironically, for this brand, it's actually based around UGC creators and influencers talking about their like key best sellers, which have been like this brand has historically leaned on like one or two bestsellers, but they because of the product development strategy, which we've also been doing with all the planning that we've had, they've had a lot of like breakthrough new bestsellers. And so like this one product right now is like a hero product, and we just keep dropping it in different colors and then pairing that with UGC around that particular product and influencers, which are driving the ship right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
One thing I really want to ask you about is you guys do something I think that's quite unique. And I want to know why you did it. How did you guys make it? You guys have this whole dashboard where you're fanatical about
Mm.
tracking SKUs and inventory for this brand. Like, what is that? And like, why did you guys make it?
Yeah, this mostly because this brand in particular, like we constantly run out of stock. This is kind of happens like when you're going over target, like they're not able to predict how much revenue or sorry, pardon me, how much inventory they need sometimes to meet that level of demand because that wasn't pre-predicted. So oftentimes we're like running out of inventory really quickly, and it impacts the ads on the back end because
Oh,
a
for
lot of
sure.
our top top ads, pardon me, start to fatigue a lot quickly because we're out of inventory. So it becomes
So
like something we have to constantly monitor because we need to be able to be really agile on our side to have new refreshes or supplementary best-selling creatives that we can like load in on the fly to be able to keep up with the level of spend and I would say aggressive scaling we're doing.
So what's like that workflow look like? Because you're saying you're always running out of inventory. So, which seems like it's happening all the time. It's like, what's like your daily workflow look like to monitor that? And then you mentioned agile. I'd love to kind of hear how your team stays agile, like more specifically.
Yeah, so I mean, I think our team in particular is so used to this brand having low inventory that we kind of have a little bit of a process. So our brand will notify us on our communication platform. Our project coordinator will jump in, notify our entire team that this one's out of inventory. Because we manage multiple channels for this brand, we then have to go and look at all of those ads on all of the different platforms and adjust, turn them off, do whatever we need to do. Sometimes if it's a really banger, like I might leave it on anyways because we know that they're going to buy something else. But ultimately, I care a lot about efficiency, and that's why we track everything the way that we do.
One thing I had the pleasure of watching your team do was I think it was like in Q4, and you guys keep doing it, is specifically in September and October, you guys changed something. You guys dramatically ramped up volume of creative. what did you notice when you guys started pumping more creative, like their team, our team, just like more volume everywhere?
It it honestly just supported how, again, aggressive we could be, because there, in this particular ad account, we have so much spend running through it, and they weren't quite prepared for the level or the volume of creative we actually needed to kill it the way that we were. But what we had to do with them was actually initiate sort of like a content system with them and a process, so that we're delivering ideas to them. They're providing us with assets every like week right now, so that we can constantly be uploading new creatives into the account and maintaining that level of volume. We're actually going to ramp it up even more right
Oh, let's
now.
go.
Yeah, which is going to be
You're
insane. Just
already
like,
doing a lot. Like most people don't know, you guys are doing like a lot, like maybe over
yeah.
100 a month.
Yeah. Yeah. And we're going to focus a lot more on more UGC creators. And this brand is also historically very focused on like aesthetic ads. And we're going to break that cycle a little bit by introducing more like ugly UGC and
There
seeing
you
how,
go. I love it.
just to
That makes
really
me
amp
really
up
happy.
the volume, right? Like it helps so much with sustainability as well across all of the ad accounts. And I think that's really important to just have a really good system in place.
So you guys are managing a lot of different channels. Like with the brand spending this much money, growing this fast, like how do you and the team think about where to allocate budget, how to spot when you need to allocate more budget to a particular platform?
Yeah, so we're managing it a few different ways. So we have like our big day-to-day tracker where we have everything. We're looking at it in platform, but we're also using attribution tools like Triple Whale, which are like huge for us, because most of the other platforms are notorious for like over attributing, which makes it very challenging if I'm trying to be very aggressive towards our targets. So if I have a really like tight AMER target and I'm really pushing our spend, I need to know where I need to take away and give more. And if each platform is showing me perfect numbers, it's going to be really hard to distribute that spend appropriately. So we look at it like Triple Whale's and such an awesome tool for that in particular. Plug to Triple Whale, but like,
This is not
like,
sponsored by Triple Whale, but it is
yeah, we're
helping us.
not sponsored, but they do really help me a lot. Let me just
I
say,
would take a sponsorship, Triple Whale, just saying that.
yeah. And it's true. Like they help so much, and like especially with just how agile we are. If we were just in the accounts being like media buyers dedicating, let's just say like 10 grand to this account, 10 grand to that account, and 30 to that, like you're probably not going to look at attribution as tightly. But because we're flowing a high volume of spend between each platform to reach our targets, we need that visibility to be as agile as we are.
Yeah, I love just to see what's happening with you and the team. Literally every day. This happened today. I see you and Jalen and others saying, "Hey, things are really good right here. Let's increase spend. Let's decrease spend." Like you guys just have a really great system. You're hyper communicate every day, several times a day. Like, what did you guys have to do to be that on top of it? Because it's very agile. Like every day, you guys are communicating.
Yeah, I think we had to go through the fire as a team a little bit through Black Friday and like just being able to, because with this particular brand, like we absolutely crushed Black Friday for them, but to do
Mashed
that,
it.
but we had to be like on it, like within like hours of each other all the time, just like talking about what we're doing to try to be agile with spend. We were discussing how we were moving around spend across teams every single day, multiple times a day. And I think that
Do you-
that practice though, for us to do that, like we just were so rewarded with like the strong team rapport after that we were able to continue that trend month over month. And I feel like that's a huge part of also why we're surpassing our goals, because we're not working again on accounts individually or in a silo. We're looking at everything from like this big picture as a team.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that. Like, how much do you attribute? And lately, it's been like every month you've blown past expectations for like the last 5 months in a row. So I was going to ask, like, how much you attribute your guys' ability to be agile with month over month growth, beating expectations?
Yeah, I think that is the huge part of it. Like if we were just again maybe in a management mode, like it takes a lot, right, to be in there every single day and to have this kind of relationship with your accounts, but if you have the right team, I think really is what it is. It doesn't feel like extra work to have that kind of communication, to have that type of process. And so for us, it's like as a team, it's super rewarding for us to be able to do that for our clients. Like, and I know Jalen will tell you the same. We've been able to spend more on Google than the brand has ever been able to spend.
It's ridiculous how well it's performing right now.
Yeah. And it was like a huge thing. Like we noticed, like once they came back to us, right? Like we noticed, like you're just underutilizing some of these platforms can really crush for you. And so by us being able to just like, we have one spend budget that we manage all of our accounts with, and we work together to make those goals happen. And like our objective isn't to make our in-platform numbers look good. It's to hit our targets and then some. And because we're that agile, we tend to just hit them early because we're not dragging our feet in the middle of the month.
We believe you don't look at in-platform in terms of when to make scaling decisions. I'd love to kind of hear how you guys think about, you're doing so much spend. And just for everyone here who eventually watches this, we're talking like 6-figure days for this brand. Okay. So what I want to hear from you is like, how do you think about, number one, what metrics are you guys really caring about? And this is a plug for our friend Jared. He's a CFO, obviously. So like we work really well with him, which we'll talk about that in a few moments. So like what KPIs are you looking at? And like, how are you guys making some of these decisions? Because a lot of people like still like focus on like Meta ROAS, Google ROAS. And like, you need to know that, but like you guys and our team have a really good system to help us get outside of that and make the right calls.
Yeah, I think what I love about teams that have a CFO like Jared is again just I know what we're doing every single month for the whole year, and that allows me to be like so like structured in how we do things, which helps everyone. But because he gives us like super clear targets in terms of AMER, MER, CAC, we know exactly what we need to be, like what our guardrails are. And we know that we just need to hit those numbers within the month. So when it comes to like tracking it that way, like we're in, like, for example, how I increased the budget today, right? If I were to just look at this on an only purely daily basis, well, their AMER is actually under my target right now. But I know that we're going to make up for that during other periods because I have full visibility into our campaign calendar. And on platform, we have some creatives that are crushing it and a campaign that was doing about 8x. So I'm like, I need to increase spend here and capitalize off of that. And just if I have to adjust on the other platforms, I can do that to make sure that during this window of time where we have this winner, we're able to capitalize. If I didn't have our clear guardrails or know what I needed to like hit at the end of the month, I maybe couldn't be that agile.
Yeah. And one thing I love about what you said, Meagan, is once you're really clear on like what's the goal, the end goal, that you and the team understand, more volume at certain times is a way better decision than pulling back spend. And you know, because you have the plan, you have the content calendar, you know you can pull budget back from different platforms, and you can also make up that performance if and when you need. Like, and I feel like that is when you know you really understand the ecosystem and the economics of a brand, when you can make those kinds of calls. Because right now, like you said, you're under target at the moment, but you're pumping way more volume, and that's net benefit overall for the brand, especially if you're driving way more new customers, because this brand has like an amazing LTV. So like it's huge net benefit for them. You have something that I want to see. You came prepared to show something. I want to see it because I was told that it's a big secret for you guys. So why don't you share your screen? Let's see it and talk through what it is and how you guys use it.
Yeah, I can do that.
All right, so what is this?
This is our media planning template or our budget tracker, and it's a little bit different. This one is really tailored specifically for this client as well, because we have multiple channels that we're running for them all the time. And it's broken down. You can see here that we're tracking the historical spend per platform along with the historical net sales. And what we do that's unique for this platform this brand in particular is we're not just tracking net sales. We're not including shipping or anything like that. We're just looking purely at product sales. And that helps our numbers be clean, but it also means like a lot of their projections are actually based, their goals, are based off of including shipping. So we're crushing our goals without the shipping, which means they just get a nice little bonus on top at the end. So that's how we explain it, but it just allows our numbers to be a lot cleaner. So we have our like 2025 net sales, and then we have a 2026 projection. So what we do is we take their goal, like if we know they want a 35% increase month over month, year over year, we're going to then take the every single day that we have here for 2025 and add on the 35% uplift so that we have a 26 projection of what that daily spend might be. And I feel like this may not be super necessary for everyone, but I think what we like is that we can then take this back even more historically if we want to start to identify trends and peak periods throughout certain months. And we actually noticed in certain months that there were just these 1 or 2 weekends that just like, for whatever reason, the revenue would go significantly higher, even if we didn't have a campaign. So we could plan ahead and increase our spend leading into those periods just because we had visibility into some of these historical dates and numbers. So it's super handy for us as a team and like our media buyers because they can then see fully like what they should be spending based off of historical. Typically, we're not spending that way right now because we're so far ahead of that projection, but it gives us a lot of visibility into what the patterns are in that account on a daily basis, which I think maybe is a little anal, but
No, but listen, anal, but do you guys want 30% growth month over month and to blast past all your targets? I'll be anal for that. So
yeah, it's awesome. Like I love it and our media buyers love it. Like our team they love having this level of visibility. Everything gets updated daily manually so that we have the most accurate numbers. We're not necessarily only relying on other tools, although we have them. It's just we want to be like super dialed with our numbers in particular because of the way we have to spend across the account.
So because you guys are analyzing trends from previous years and your upcoming forecasts, and I can see right there, calendar events are mapped out. How does that influence, because we haven't talked about creative strategy that much yet, but like how does that impact how you guys are planning for creative volume, diversity, and then a third part to that question is also just like the creative strategy, because like, like 3, 6, 9 months in advance.
Yeah, I mean, I think for this, like in terms of the creative strategy, just having it planned out this way, like a big initiative that we're doing is we're actually even trying to look further out for their campaigns so that we can plan like a more efficient production for them to create different types of formats so that we have more diversity within the ad account. Just different types of cinematic videos, creators, storytelling with things like athletes or other influencers who might be wearing their product and really advancing their strategy that way. It helps us, on our internal creative team, like we have full visibility into everything that's dropping each month. So we're so far ahead in our sprints when it comes to creatives because as long as we have the assets from them, we're just producing a higher volume of the creatives needed for that drop well in advance so that even if we need to have a refresh during that drop, let's say it hits and we're increasing spend at the way that we do, I might need another batch of creatives in there and I might need it ready right away. So this allows us to have like our backlog of creatives because we know exactly what.
Yeah, unpack that if you're okay with it. So backlog. So what I just heard you say is because you have to be so agile, it seems like you guys like always have creative ready to rock and roll. So is there like a strategy to that? Like how you guys came up with that? And then have you found like a number in the backlog as the sweet spot to always be ready to go?
Yeah, I wouldn't say we necessarily have like a set number, but it's not as much as people might think they need. It's really about like the quality of the creative as well. I think like we don't need to necessarily have like a backlog of like 30, 40, 50 statics. It's the variety, the diversity in the format and the quality of the creatives themselves. And then, sorry, what was the other part of that question?
So it was more so around, is there like a framework you guys have to always have that backlog creative? Because it seems like you're so agile. Is there a framework you have in either the types of creative you always need, or you always are creating to always keep that backlog for when you need it?
Yeah, I think it's actually a little bit more agile than that again, because sometimes, again, drop dependent, like the creative that hits in that drop might be totally different than what hit previously. But what we'll do is we'll take the results really quickly and be able to execute on that from our team much faster because we have the data, and then we can have a backlog ready to refresh that campaign before it fatigues.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Now, regarding the creative strategy specifically, obviously this is a insanely fast growing fashion brand. And so there's a lot of brands who fit that, even brands similar in similar niches that can still fit that. In terms of creative strategy, like what are you guys noticing like right now in 2026 work exceptionally well? And what would you recommend how they should be thinking about their creative diversity?
Yeah, I think actually a really, really big focus for this brand in particular is like there's still a lot of, I think, e-commerce brands when they come in, they're scrappy e-commerce brands. They're looking at their product development of like what's trending, and that takes them so far, right? This brand is like an 8-figure brand that now is in the place of their journey where they have to establish themselves as a brand, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So our creative strategy is actually focused on what type of brand do they want to be and what what problem are they solving for their customers? And then how do we execute that on a creative standpoint throughout the campaigns? And the reason that we're doing this is, as we know, like we don't really have a problem with new customers right now. But as we continue to spend and as we continue to scale at this rate, eventually, if we don't advance that creative strategy to be further up the funnel, reaching new audiences and really establishing them as a well-known brand, that will start to taper down slowly over time, right? And we've seen that if you've been in the field long enough, you start to see like, oh, brands will be like crushing and they do think I have to keep this same strategy going over and over. And it's like, well, actually, the further you grow, you actually need to advance your creative strategy to align with whatever brand you want to be and bring that down. I think another big thing that we're doing, which is also helping with our creative volume, is we're taking all of that we're working on this brand strategy and trickling that down into organic, which then helps us improve efficiency across all platforms along with increasing our creative volume, which is a big perk.
So what I'm hearing you say is the pushing along of the creative strategy, which we'll unpack that more in a second. The stuff that you guys are figuring out there, you're passing it off onto their organic team to reflect that organically, which also helps accelerate the brand image you're trying to create. Is that right?
Yes. And just volume, right? Like if we think about a lot of these brands and their teams, like if we can be more strategic around our creative strategy on our end and also help them excel on the organic side, we're not going to run into issues with volume of creatives, right? Because they're producing everything that we need or everything that we can iterate off of or edit to make new concepts. And we have it at volume.
You mentioned something which I want to piggyback off of that. Every 8-figure brand, if you don't do what you said, which is accelerate your creative strategy and purposefully do things that you don't normally do, new customer acquisition gets harder and harder and more expensive and more expensive. Yeah, sure, everyone, the more you spend, does CAC go up? Sure, at some point, but not the same linear way. And that is where you have to really push the boundary. So I want to ask you, so like, how should brands, or I guess maybe how you guys are handling, like, what does that actually mean? Where you're accelerating it, you're doing different types of assets to establish them as a brand. Like, what does that actually mean? Or the type of creative that you're thinking about at the moment?
Yeah, I think it starts with the creative strategy, right? Like, and I think that's something that our team does really well. And like,
your assets are great. You guys make such high-end looking creative. So that's why I want to ask, like, how are you guys thinking about those high-end assets?
Yeah, we're thinking about it very much from this place of our goals and also the customers that we're trying to reach and really that storytelling, problem solving content that we're trying to execute on. And we're not doing that from nothing. We're taking it from all of the research that we've done and then the creative strategy that we now have to then implement across all platforms. So in terms of formats, our creative strategy team is able to put together like a content menu for this brand so that they know exactly what they need to shoot every month, which helps both teams significantly, right? Because for a brand, unless you've been brand side, a lot of like strategists may not know this, but to produce that content can be highly inefficient because they're not thinking about it strategically. They're looking at like what posts are trending right now, like what do I need to create, but that might not be super effective for us, and it can be
Or it may not actually make money.
exactly. Yeah, it's
So
just
we want to
maybe
make
what
money.
looks cool. But then for their team, if we are not working with them a lot with that strategy in mind, it means that team has to then work twice as hard to then produce the assets that we need, because these ones aren't going to do it for us.
So
Right?
one thing I feel like I need to say is if you're doing more volume but revenue is not falling, you're probably falling into the trap that Meagan just said. And as you're focusing on nice things or trending things, there's a big difference sometimes of things that make money and things that look nice as well. So I'm so happy you mentioned the content menu. I really am, because that's something we started doing recently. Can you just explain like what is the content menu and break down what's in it and how that helps us a little bit deeper? Because like the moment I started seeing you guys do it, we got feedback from our founders like, holy crap, like this is exactly what I needed. So what is in it?
Yeah, so it's essentially like what types of formats and creatives we know based off of our strategy are going to really hit for this brand. And it's basically like, here's how to shoot and execute on this type of creative with as much as we can give them to do that without being there to do it for them. So that they actually just have, like, they know exactly what they need to produce for us every month in advance, versus halfway through the month, we're telling them we need something different or something like that. So it gives them details into like the set and setting of where to shoot this, what types of clothing to be wearing for it, how to tell the story. Like it's almost like a creative brief for them that's not as complex. It's like digestible, and they have visual like inspiration for each individual concept that we're trying to get them to create, making it a
And
lot easier for them to execute on.
And I think I also saw is that with that includes also the angle. So like shoot this, yes, here's how to shoot it, here's what to say, but also you're giving them different types of angles as well. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes. Yeah.
Awesome.
And so
So
there's like two different parts of that. We'll deliver angles, sort of like, here's what we're planning for the next month, and then here's a content menu that could be separate for even like like more volume, again, that might not be related specifically to those specific angles, because as long as they can provide us with the footage, our team's able to do like so much with that we can execute on these angles at the same time, therefore doubling down on our volume, which we need for this brand. Yeah.
one last question I want to ask you that I find very challenging. You're a creative strategist. I'm a creative strategist. We have our creative strategy team. I think it's very hard to you take assets, and for us, our job is to how can we come up with the best possible creatives, but also how can we stretch assets as far as humanly possible when needed. So like, do you have any ways that you have found with the team of how you can take assets, make them look high end, but also like how far can you stretch assets as well?
Yeah, I mean, we have been pretty good about making sure we ask for specifically what we need to. So like if we have this content menu, for example, with this brand, we're asking for, give us the raw assets, give us your edited assets, let us play around with both. And then in addition, we're also using those raw assets and using AI to help create similar assets, complementary assets, or things that we can like B-roll that we can fit into that to make it a totally different creative from their original asset.
And I have to say, I've seen some of your guys' assets, and I can't tell what's real or fake.
Yeah.
You're very good at it. So
Yeah.
great job to the team.
Yeah. She's
Well,
amazing.
Meagan, your team is awesome. This is going to be a breakout year for this brand. I mean, every month we're just crushing expectations. So thank you. And thanks for just breaking down how other brands should be thinking about creative diversity as well. You're crushing it. Thanks.
No problem.